They are rationing energy in Europe right now. Let's welcome in Ambassador Ric Grenell to talk more about this. He's the former Director of National Intelligence, also the former ambassador to Germany and a senior security analyst. Great to have you with us, Ambassador Grenell.
John, Bianca, thank you for having me.
Well, one of the topics we've talked a lot about with you is what America can learn from Europe's mistakes. And obviously, Europe's dependence on Russia for energy is something that President Trump tried to warn the UN about. Germany literally laughed when he did that. And today, Germany's Ministry for the Economy and Climate is freaking out because they are between a rock and a hard place. Now, Rick, why do Democrats here in this country want to make this country more like Europe, more dependent on hostile foreign countries for energy?
Look, I say this a lot, and I really believe it, and I hope people start to understand it, that the opposite of America first is consensus with the Europeans. The Europeans don't share the same threat assessment. They don't fear Iran, they don't fear Russia the same way that Americans do. And we tried to share that with our European partners, whether it was about the fears from China on Huawei, which we're now seeing play out as real, and Europe didn't listen. We see this with Nord Stream 2, that Europe didn't listen. But there's also another element of this, John, in that Senate Democrats and the Biden administration are not seeing the lessons of the past. They're not paying attention to the successes of Donald Trump. Because the reality is that Senate Democrats and Joe Biden's administration came together to drop sanctions on this Nord Stream 2 pipeline. And now what we're seeing is the leverage from Russia coming home to really push the Europeans in ways that they're very uncomfortable. We told them, don't put all of your energy into this Russian basket, so to speak. But they didn't listen, and now they are feeling the pressure. And frankly, I think their manufacturing base is going to see skyrocketing prices because of this energy squeeze. It's going to further cause problems in their economies, that they're already seeing skyrocketing inflation. This is a disaster that is not going to be fixed in the short term until Germany, the largest economy, and other economies throughout Europe decide to diversify their energy sources. You can't just do wind. You can't just do solar. You've got to do all of the above, and that includes using technologies so that you can do coal and bringing back nuclear energy to Europe. This is just a fact. They're going to have to do it.
Ambassador, I mean, they're at the point the EU is rationing gas. And, again, Democrats here don't want to look and see what Trump did. And there's a thread here also when it comes to border security. We see what's happening right now outside of energy, but what's happening in Europe everywhere. There's a new report we want to talk to you about. The Guardian is saying that a new wave of migration is coming for Europe. They're not ready for it. Irregular entries rose 84% this year. And those don't even include people seeking asylum from Ukraine, which we know is so big. Seems like there's a parallel story happening here. And again, it is the Democrats in our country who refuse to fix it, or some say are intentionally allowing it, Rick.
We need to learn the history, the lessons of history. And the reality is for Europe, I want to speak to my European friends very clearly. They lost a member of the EU. The UK left the EU. The European Union became less powerful because of immigration and because of Chancellor Merkel, who decided that she didn't want to have rules in place before we had a rush in of immigration. Look, we all want to welcome individuals who need help in a humanitarian moment or in a crisis. But we have lines for immigration because we must be able to have rules in order to not have this enclave of individuals breaking the law and rushing in and then not being able to deal with that pressure. So I would say that the EU shrunk because they couldn't get their act together on immigration. And here we go again. Germany, as the largest economy, had better start paying attention to the rules and enforcing rules. Otherwise, they're going to start to see the EU crumble.
That same article from The Guardian talks about Europe's failed response to the 2015 Syrian refugee crisis. And now we're seeing countries like Austria, Hungary, and Poland. They want to maintain their border integrity. You talked about Germany and France. They seem less interested in doing that. So, I mean, the question is, what do countries like Poland and Hungary, What do they do in this? You know, they seem to want to maintain border integrity, and it's like some of the states here, like Texas and other states in this country. Some people are for it and some people are not, but we know the devastating consequences of not protecting the border.
Look, any country or any state that wants to decide to enforce the rules needs to be very sensitive to the fact that the entirety of the media, whether it's in Europe or in America, are going to try to label that as mean-spirited. They've got to go forward and say, this is not about being mean-spirited. This is about protecting those inside the border and having rules. You do not have a country if all of a sudden you get rid of the rules. That's why I hate this whole sanctuary city idea. It's a nice label on a terrible precedent, which is ignoring federal law, doing what you want. It's the Wild West. We have to have rules. Those who want to enforce rules are not mean-spirited. And we have to start articulating that as conservatives, pushing back on that label that somehow you're mean-spirited because you want to enforce immigration rules. It's not the case.
Let's talk about President Trump's return to D.C. today. He's speaking at the America First Agenda Summit. Rick, what do you think he will be focusing on today? Are there any new things you think he'll be laying out that perhaps we haven't heard from him before? Is it going to be a forward-looking speech, do you think, or will he be calling out some mistakes of the past and what he sees the Biden administration doing?
Well, we've seen President Trump delivering speeches all around the country, and I am an advocate for getting the President Trump outside of Washington, D.C. I'm not sure why we always have to go back to D.C. with think tanks. I think those think tanks have always been the problems in Washington, and so I'm a big advocate for getting the president out. We just heard him in Arizona, where he laid out the vision for what America First is, and he critiqued Joe Biden really tanking this country in every possible way on every possible issue. So I think you're going to see him articulate that to those insiders in Washington. Maybe some of them will hear it for the first time because, as you and I both know, it's a very insular place there. They only listen to themselves.
Doesn't President Trump, though, have to build that coalition, Rick, with those people, you know, some of those swamp creatures that are still in Washington, D.C., as well as the folks in Alaska and all these other places he's visited recently? Isn't that the winning coalition?
Absolutely. Look, I think that real America, outside of Washington, D.C., they're working hard. They're experiencing gas prices and inflation. And when you go to Washington, D.C., all you hear about is kind of white papers, think tank types, and, you know, January 6th committee. I got to say one thing. It's worth saying about the January 6th committee. There's not a single dissenting voice on that committee. That is literally a hallmark of fascism. When you put together a so-called investigation, when everyone agrees and there's not a single dissenting voice, that is a dangerous, dangerous pattern. We see this in Washington. We see reporters all coming around and repeating this kind of groupthink. And I think that we, as conservatives, have to push back and say, we're not going to participate in these sham investigations. Yeah. There's not a single dissenting voice on that committee, and that's outrageous. It's un-American.
It really, you know, personifying the idea of this uniparty that you hear about that's dangerous. You know, like you said, it's a symptom of fascism, not just here, but all over the world and throughout history. Ambassador Ric Grenell, it's great to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks.
Hey guys, it's Rob Carson. I want to tell you about the Patriot Gold Group, but first, let me tell you that the S&P has already lost $8.2 trillion in 2022. Did you know that? Peak inflation is not even hit despite the Fed rate hikes on groceries, on gas. You know it as well as I do. Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs are warning of another 20% drop. Inflation is winning in a knockout right now. The Fed is going to raise rates again at the end of July. Meanwhile, Goldman, Wells Fargo, and Bloomberg are all forecasting gold to surpass all-time highs. If you want to invest in gold, call 888-936-2373 now. Call the Patriot Gold Group today and ask about their no-fee-for-life IRA. Sounds like a good deal, don't it? Here's the number, 888-936-2373. 888-936-2373 for the Patriot Gold Group.